Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another fourth stimulus check unemployment benefits extension update. So right now at this current time is the relative great news to share is that there are actually several approved programs, and I repeat, approved programs that are going on around right now across this country. The only reason I think that they're less talked about is really just because they're a lot more targeted. So that's really the big thing. However, I do have updates if you are interested in hearing them about the overall fourth stimulus check, but I just figured I'd share some updates about certain approved programs because at the end of the day, if this does happen to apply for you, I think that's what most people want at the end of the day. Anything really to just put money inside of our pockets. But the big idea is that California right now is starting to expand eligibility in order to do their standalone state stimulus check. I want to talk a little bit about that. Now, even if you are outside of the state of California, there are actually a lot of other states that are thinking about it right now. So it's not official, it's very subtle and it's low-key, but they're contemplating potentially trying to do their own state stimulus now at this time period. And there's details about that have changed. So even if you have already heard about the stimulus check, there's things that have been changed probably ever since you last heard about it that I want to talk about. The child tax credit is something that's recently going to be starting this week, so there may be some people that are now starting to see payments if you happen to be in a family. And I really just, I guess, want to end this to maybe give something for a little bit of everyone, talking a little bit more about now about the general fourth stimulus check. So essentially just the checks that I think is hoping to apply to just the huge overwhelming majority of people that we are probably thinking when we think of fourth stimulus check. So we're going to run through all of that in today's update, but as always, real fast, before we begin, as always, consider smashing the like button, especially since at least part of this video we're going to be talking about approved programs that are going on. Consider subscribing, hitting the bell, and feel free as always to comment any questions, thoughts about honestly just really anything at all. It's always great to say hi to new and familiar faces. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So the first thing that I really want to cover, if this just happens to apply for you, is that the $3,000/$3,600 child tax credit. The really great news, as crazy as it really shows that time flies, is that they are now officially going to start this week. With the hope and assumption there are no delays, according to the IRS, this is the week that they are going to officially start sending payments. The specific date, I believe, is that they're hoping to shoot for Thursday, but as always, if you guys have been here around for a while, we always talk about how it's always good to give a couple of days for safety. So I'd say that if you happen to be someone that's a family, if you happen to be a parent, if you happen to have a dependent child that's under the age of 18, the really great news is that you guys should hopefully now start to expect payments sometime over, basically starting by the end of this week, and then over the next couple of months, all the way until I believe the total amount, they're hoping to essentially send up about $3,000 if you happen to be someone that has a child per child between the ages of 6 to 17, and then $3,600 if you are someone that has a child under the age of 6. So that is maybe something really important, or maybe really awesome to basically look forward to. I do say one quick notice is that it is very important to note that if you are hoping, or if you are qualified and expecting to receive this, just make sure that you have your information with the IRS. If you have already been able to receive your typical first, second, third stimulus checks, then the great news is you should be set. This is really just something that if you just happen to have to do or take care of, then the important thing is to make sure you're able to take care of it now. Now, when it comes to just general stimulus, or rather just the state-specific stimulus check that I really want to talk about, in one specific state, specifically California, they are now currently doing a Golden State stimulus check for $600. Now, this check, technically, some of you guys may have already heard about it because it's been going on for about a little bit over a month now. However, there are actually big changes that have recently happened, and the biggest one is that it's the same exact stimulus check that has been going on for about a month, but the biggest difference is that in the first round of payments when they were doing this check, it was actually very difficult to actually be able to get onto the program because you had to have some income that was very low. I believe the specific threshold, I think, is that at that time you had to run through a whole bunch of requirements, and you had to have been someone that's made under $35,000. So essentially someone that was really like on the edge. But the really great news is that now they have recently just approved now another plan or an update to that, where they are now going to be expanding it so you can potentially get it if you make somewhere under $75,000. And I think specifically in total is that they are hoping that this will now officially be able to get sent out to about 2/3 of the state. So if you happen to be in California, which I think has a population of like 39 million people, we're talking about 25 million people that are potentially now going to be able to expect stimulus checks. That's a lot of people. And I think the idea is that if they're able to do their stimulus check, especially because a lot of states still also, after all, at the end of the day, do have their own side state funding and money that they have to potentially spend, they may be coming to those states as well. So I think this is something really important to know about. But the overall idea, the really great news is if you just happen to by any chance, which is a lot of people, be in the state of California and make under $75,000 and you're able to reach all of the other requirements, which with those two pretty much being the main ones, then the great news is that according to the state of California, they're hoping to now start to send out those checks over the next couple of weeks. It's still kind of open in the air, but the great news is that at least they've announced that it's happening. And I think that's the biggest and most important thing. Of course, the date, that's probably just as important, but it's at least something that we can know and work with at this current time. Now, when it comes to just the world, the general fourth stimulus checks, about what's been going on there, so it's a little bit of an interesting story. So the great news is that fourth stimulus checks are still very much on the table. The other great news is that the support for it is actually growing now even greater with each of these days that are going by. In fact, as some of you guys probably remember about the petition that we talked about in one of the videos that probably came out about 2 to 3 weeks ago, the great news is that recently that petition has now officially also reached 2.5 million signatures. So essentially now they are on the road to 3 million signatures, and I believe is that this support is growing even more. The biggest thing right now is that because they are still negotiating parts of the typical infrastructure plan, what they are maybe going to potentially do, or the hope that a lot of people have right now is that depending on how the country goes, whether this is economic, whether this is financial, or whether this is just basically about how the support or the fight for it ends up actually playing out, I think the goal right now is that the great news is with fourth stimulus checks is that there's an even greater growing support for it. And I think that what they're really hoping for right now is they're trying to wait to see how the recovery efforts play out over the coming weeks. And then if it ends up, feeling like it's a good time for it, they may be trying to now insert them into the overall plan, especially now that they are planning to do budget reconciliation. But of course, at this current time, it's still kind of in the air. But I do know one thing is that because the child tax credit is going on right now, or it's about to literally start any day now, I think that what ends up happening once they actually start to roll out that program, it's going to potentially influence what they do with a lot of the other programs, because I know for a fact that inside of the fourth stimulus package right now, the proposal right now at this current time, is the expansion of the child tax credit, but to do it even longer, because the program right now lasts only 1 year, but they're hoping to experiment that if this actually does somehow end up going well, they may even be trying to extend it even longer than that. And because this is an actual program that's right now inside the actual proposal with the fourth stimulus package. Of course, all of that stuff, we pretty much just have to wait to see how things play out. So with that being said, that's what I really just wanted to hopefully clarify and explain maybe in today's video. If you happen to especially be in California, if you happen to have a family, if you happen to be, someone who has a dependent child, something I did forget to maybe add is that if you are in California and waiting for the Golden State stimulus check, it's going to be $600, but they're also going to be giving money even to kids as well, specifically to dependents. I believe if you happen to have a dependent, it will be $500 for each dependent. So essentially, if you happen to be a family of 4, you're going to potentially be able to get $600 for each of the parents, $500 for each of the kids, so 4 people in total, so 600, 600, 500, 500. You're going to potentially be able to receive now about $2,200, which I think is a pretty sweet amount, on top of course, the child tax credit, which we, of course, just pretty much talked about now. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well. Hopefully, if you guys found something insightful, consider smashing the like button, consider subscribing, hitting the bell. Feel free to comment any questions, thoughts about anything. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.